We're going to go over a bunch of mistakes to avoid when building your garden suite or detached accessory dwelling unit. Let's dive right in. Hey, this is Andy from Suite Additions. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, our goal is to help homeowners and investors create more housing and generate wealth. Now, it would help us out if you can give us a like and subscribe. Also, we have a comprehensive in-person training program coming up. More details at suiteadditions.com/training. Okay, so we're going to go over common mistakes that we, our clients, and friends have encountered when building new garden suites in the past couple of years. So this list is not comprehensive, and I'm sure will increase over time as we gain more experience. But for now, if you're planning to build a garden suite, make sure to avoid these mistakes that can significantly affect your bottom line. Or worse, make your project non-feasible. Items number 6 and 7 are absolutely critical, so stick around to the end to find out what they are and how to avoid them. Okay, so let's delve into what these common mistakes are. The first one is fairly obvious, which is purchasing a property with a rear yard that is too small. There are several reasons why this is an issue. One is that you may be limited by a ratio of the rear yard versus the size of the garden suite, which can significantly reduce the size that you can build. The second reason is that with a smaller rear yard, you may not be able to meet the minimum separation requirements with the main house. In cities like Toronto and Hamilton, this can be fairly strict with a minimum separation requirement at 5 meters to 7.5 meters. Lastly, a small yard will allow for no space for maneuverability and all the excavation needed when constructing the foundation. You'd be surprised how much dirt is taken out for a small footprint foundation and result in additional costs to remove the dirt from the site. A smaller yard can also reduce the size of the garden suite quite substantially or possibly even make it not viable altogether. The second common error is not carefully considering utility connection issues. The entire property needs to be looked at holistically to determine the needs of all units for services such as plumbing and drains, electricity, and natural gas. Quite often, this is not factored in adequately and the homeowner ends up having to spend more to get the necessary services to the garden suite. Perhaps they completed a renovation on the main house and forgot to consider the implications of services for the garden suite. And significant work such as digging up hard surfaces such as walkways and driveways are the result. It's especially challenging when the property may be older with less of a setback on both sides of the house. Make sure utility services are adequately accounted for early on and obtain expert opinions if needed. The third mistake we frequently see are not providing proper access for construction. It would be ideal to have a driveway or setback along the side of the house that is at least 8 to 10 feet wide in order to accommodate heavy equipment and trucks for construction. In some cases, like old houses we mentioned above without good setbacks, we have no choice, so smaller mini excavators or screw-down foundations can be used to address this. But if you have the option, choosing a site for good access for construction also means good access for future occupants as well. The fourth common error is not providing adequate parking. Now, even though many cities are eliminating parking minimums, it's still wise as a homeowner and investor to have parking spaces available for greater flexibility, especially since many of these units are built in suburban locations where car dependency is still high. So despite talks of self-driving Ubers and no more car ownership, I think we're still a ways away from that. In the meantime, to retain value, it's great to have at least one parking space per unit available, unobstructed if possible. The fifth mistake we see is on the financial side of things, with homeowners not having a contingency fund for their project. Now, we always recommend, after budgeting for all your hard costs and soft costs, put in an additional 10% contingency fund for unexpected expenses. So this fund might go towards an unexpected delay, inflation on key materials, a system or component unaccounted for, or perhaps even a beautiful siding material you decided that you wanted to put in after the fact. So whether it's for something that was not accounted for or if it's something you wanted to upgrade, trust us, the contingency fund will always be used. Okay, so we're down to the final two critical mistakes. These two issues, if unaccounted for, can make or break your project. The sixth area that we have seen is that there is inadequate width for occupant and emergency access. This again is especially a big issue with older homes where there may be a very narrow access to the rear yard from the front. This is also a concern sometimes for new suburban homes with a very short setback from neighboring properties. So this is why we like mid-century homes that have larger lots and a healthy setback with neighbors. The fire code requires at least wide access with an unobstructed height of 2.1 meters. In some cases, this access is shared with the neighbor, in which case you would need to have your neighbor sign an LDA, a limiting distance agreement. So this would allow you to use the shared access for occupants living in the garden suite and for emergency service access as well. If your neighbor is not keen on your garden suite, this of course can be an issue if they're not willing to sign the LDA. We've seen this happen to our clients of ours. Okay, so the final error we come across are units that were intended to be built too far from the front of the house, or existing garage conversions that are too far back on a property that has a very deep lot. Similar to point number 6, there is a fire code requirement. This one allows a maximum 45 meters from the front of the garden suite to where a fire truck would be situated at the front of the lot. Now, if you have a new proposed unit, this is not the end of the world because you can always shift your unit closer, but that might have other implications with the existing house. This is a bigger issue if it's an existing garage that is very deep in the lot. So that could affect your ability to actually do the conversion. So pay close attention to this issue. Okay, so that covers our 7 mistakes we've come across for garden suites or detached ADU builds. We get deep into the construction of garden suites in our upcoming in-person training program. If you're interested, more information can be found at suiteadditions.com/training or in the link in the description below. So what are your thoughts? Did we miss anything? Have you built any and come across any errors? If you have, it would be great if you can share them in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video. To learn more about the Max Suite strategy, download our free guides at suiteadditions.com and get started. And if you enjoyed this video, here's another great one for you.